righty. Hey, welcome aboard. Let's have a Bible study. My name's Mike. I'm with Sinclair Baptist Church, and if you're joining us here in the book of Nehemiah, I hope you're having a good time. We're going to take a few moments here and continue in chapter 3. I believe we're in episode number 8 now, and you can just kind of follow along the instructions here. It goes pretty easy. We always start out with just reading the chapter, so I'm going to take a kind of the pause here and let you find Nehemiah and then go to chapter 3 and read chapter 3. We focused the last time on the first 12 verses. This time we've got a few things in the second half of the chapter, as well as a couple things that sort of go back to the beginning, so you might want to be familiar with the whole chapter. So anyways, thanks, and I'm so glad you're here, and welcome aboard, and we will read that chapter right now. So let's take a pause and read chapter 3 of the book of Nehemiah. All right, good. You got a lot of words in there, and like as someone said last week, a lot of them hard to pronounce, that's for sure. And you just kind of work your way through it. I'm sure they don't like our names either. When we get to heaven, I hope everyone's got a name tag and one of those things that talks about how to pronounce your name. So anyway, we've got a few questions for you here. And again, chapter 3 is really probably one of the most exciting chapters for me. I just like it. There's just so much good things going on here. But I want to chat with you just a little bit about this one. There's several different things that are going on here, and some of them across the whole thing. And I want to touch on this one. If you go back to the very first verse, it's in chapter 3, verse 1. Partway through, it says that they sanctified it. And I want you to look up that word and try to look up some background there. And here's a question: what does it mean when they sanctified the gate or the wall? Okay, so there's the question. What does it mean when they sanctified the gate or the wall? And then probably the follow-up question is, what is the value of sanctification? So let's take a moment and dive into that one. All right, a lot of really good stuff in here. Let me give you kind of a bonus question right off the bat here, and won't give you time to answer this one, but just kind of you can do this one on your own. I was kind of digging through, and I was reading many times. Well, the word repaired is used over and over and over throughout there, but I also noticed that sometimes it uses the word built. They built and then they repaired. And so this is kind of a little bonus thing on your side. Maybe you guys can discuss this on your own or maybe at another time. But is there any difference between the idea of building and repairing? And I think in our day, we would say, yeah, something from the ground up, and one is sort of repairing something that's already there. But I wonder if you can pick up any major significance here in the story of Nehemiah with those. So that's just sort of the bonus question right off the bat. I really want to get to verse 14, and if you've got your Bible there, you can look at it. It starts out in verse 14, it says, "But the dung gate repaired Malachi, I guess, the son of so-and-so." Anyway, this guy got the dung gate. Now, I'm not sure if you ever researched what that means, but there was a place on the kind of the southern end of Jerusalem there where they threw out all the refuse and the bad stuff, and kind of like working in the junkyard or living by the sewer pond there. If you had to fix the gate by the sewer pond. In the very next verse, though, it says that there were some guys that built the fountain gate, and they got to be by the pool of Siloah, by the king's garden. Okay, so here's sort of the thing I wrote. Okay, these seem to be quite opposite in regards to atmosphere. And sometimes we get the good job, sometimes we get the bad job, all right? So here's the question: how should we handle unpleasant tasks? And are there other Bible illustrations of folks who had adverse working or serving conditions? So how should we handle those unpleasant tasks? And then are there some other Bible examples? Think of some of those, discuss that amongst your group of people that had working conditions that probably weren't so good. So take some time and discuss that around your table there. All right. Yeah, I hope that we got another one coming up on work ethic here, too. It's kind of interesting, but I hope that was a good discussion. And, sometimes life isn't always fair, so sometimes we get some difficult things. So, all right, I like this one. In verse 5, okay, we find these guys called the Tekoites. And if you remember, it says they worked hard, even though they're nobles, didn't put any in the effort. And I think that's a wonderful thing that sometimes, not that leadership didn't work, but that sometimes people worked whether other people were working or not. And sometimes folks can get lazy, and you have to work alongside of lazy folks. That is a difficult thing. So I want you to go to verse 27 and look and see what you find them doing. That's kind of the first question. What are they doing in verse 27? The same people from verse 5 are now in verse 27. And look what they're doing. It's amazing, okay? And here's the kind of couple of questions. What do you think helps create a good work ethic in people? What is it that helps create a good work ethic in people? And the flip side of that is what often hinders people from having a good attitude, okay? Sometimes a good attitude can be stifled by some things, can be kind of put down, the wet blanket upon it. What hinders people from having a good work ethic or a good attitude? So discuss those at your table there. All right, last question. We're at question number 4 already, and this really now kind of a conceptual question, kind of deals with the whole thing. The whole chapter is people working on walls and gates, okay? And I wrote in my notes here, walls and gates make for good protection, okay? Chapter 3 is filled with folks who valued good boundaries and were willing to work for them. And that's a powerful thing. They had a good value for it. They saw it, and they were willing to work for it. So what are some valuable boundaries that a Christian in this day and age, okay, what are some valuable boundaries that a Christian in this day and age might establish in their life? What are some good boundaries that you and I ought to have in our life? And what might a person do to repair broken down boundaries, okay? If something gets broken down and it's, like the gates were burnt and all that kind of stuff we found out earlier in the story here, sometimes our boundaries have been broken down. What can we do to kind of get those back where they need to be? So discuss that one at your table. All right. Hope that we had some good discussion here. I know some of these questions we could go on and on and on, and I want to thank you for being involved with our group. What we like to do now is have some prayer, and so just the best way to do this is just to have everyone say a prayer going around the table or wherever you're at. It's not hard, and it's really simple if you just say, Lord, help me to have good boundaries in my life. Boom. That's all you need to say. Don't need to get real fancy, but just say, Lord, help me to have a good work ethic, or Lord, help me to not complain when I have to work difficult jobs, whatever it happens to be. But start at one side, maybe pray around your table, but have some prayer. And thank God for what we learned from the book of Nehemiah, and then make sure that you join us again next week, and we'll see you there. So thanks for being with us. Take time right now to have some prayer.